Over the years, superhero games have been taken more and more seriously. In the past, they were seen as if they were kids' games, but especially after the Arkham franchise started, superhero games began to be treated as genuinely great games. Titles with budgets on par with other very well-crafted story-driven games. Just look at the obvious examples: the Arkham franchise, which revolutionized the genre, Marvel Spiderman, the underrated Guardians of the Galaxy game, and even some failures like the Avengers game. But I had never seen or played a game like Dispatch, a choice-based game that managed to tell a story better and more skillfully than many other big games. It's a game that doesn't even include a traditional gameplay where we control our character, yet it still managed to be innovative and capture our attention simply with an incredible story and its extremely charismatic characters. After many years where it seemed like Telltale's formula was dead, this game proves the exact opposite, and I'm really happy to see it achieving the success it is. In just 10 days after release, without even being fully launched, it reached its first million copies sold. The audience completely loves it, and so does the critics, to the point where people are already begging for a season 2. I decided to play the game once all the episodes were released, and it was the best and worst decision I could have made, because I finished it in just 2 days and I was left just wanting more. AdHoc, the game's developer, truly deserves congratulations for the masterpiece they managed to create. Other choice-based superhero games have existed before, Telltale's Batman, even the Guardians of the Galaxy one, but I had never played a game like Dispatch, and I think a big part of that is our main character and the way this story is developed. Here, I'll mainly talk about my choices in the game and how my characters developed throughout the story, so be careful with some spoilers I might give. Throughout the game, we control Robert Robertson. Yes, they even joke about his name, and I couldn't have asked for a better character to fit into this story. I can kind of compare him to Spider-Man in terms of personality. He's a hero in this universe who has no superpowers. He uses a giant mechanical suit that makes him known as Mecha Man, a burden passed down through generations of his family. His grandfather was the first Mecha Man, his father the second, and when his father died, Robert took on the mantle. And I think that's what makes him so special. He's just a regular human. He doesn't have super strength, super durability, super intelligence. He's simply a resilient human who doesn't give up on helping people. He used all the money he inherited to keep being Mecha Man, but the day came when the suit was completely destroyed beyond repair and the Mecha Man was retired, but not Robert. This is a choice-driven game, and many choices change the way the story unfolds, but one choice that can't be changed is that he ends up working as a dispatcher in the superhero organization SDN, thanks to Blonde Blazer, who recruits him. And she's one of the romance options in the game, but we'll get to that later. Honestly, a game where we're just a dispatcher sounds incredibly boring in theory, but this game manages to turn that into one of the best experiences I've had in a game in recent years. The way Robert fits so well into everything is proof that the true hero was never Mecha Man, it was the man behind the suit. Robert is put in charge of the Z-Team, a group of ex-villains who decide to become heroes and need to go through this program to do so. The thing is, Robert is the reason this team becomes known as a true hero team by the end of the game. Without him, without his phenomenal dialogue, his heroic spirit, his desire to help people who can't help themselves, that sense of duty and weight only felt by someone who has been through something they couldn't change. Without that, the Z-Team wouldn't be what they become. Robert carries that past. His father was killed by Shroud, the main villain of the game, the same villain who destroyed his suit, but Robert doesn't do what he does out of revenge alone. He does it because it's the right thing to do, and because he has the resources to help, but not without flaws. And that's what makes him such a great character. He fails, he isn't perfect, he has flaws, he hides inside his own shell. He often masks who he is with that typical hero sarcasm. I genuinely think he was at least somewhat inspired by Spider-Man. I believe that. And that's not a bad thing, because this character is amazing. And partly because of that, I much prefer Blonde Blazer with him than Invisigal. Even though I know I'm in the minority, I think they match each other way better. I feel like Robert is more of himself when he's with her, and when Blazer reveals she doesn't actually have powers without her necklace, she won me over even more, because it creates a connection with Robert that's far more special and deep. Both hide behind their powers, Mecha Man and Blonde Blazer, but Robert and Manny are just two normal humans with their own problems who find a kind of refuge in each other. I genuinely love their relationship. I know they start off a bit weird, even though I don't think so, but once the truth is revealed and they start trusting each other, I don't think I've ever doubted that I wanted Robert to end the game with Mandy. Not that Invisigali is bad, but I connected much more with Blazer. And not to mention that Invisigali is the one responsible for Robert's entire development in the first place. She's the one who planted the bomb in the Mecha Man suit, under Shroud's orders. And I really loved Shroud as the villain of this game. Visually, he's menacing. The way the game uses the environment and the sound to make him seem more and more terrifying is exceptional. His rivalry with Robert is well built. Not perfect, but excellent. Shroud killed Robert's father and Robert wants revenge. A simple premise, yet super effective. The fact that Shroud can predict every move and every decision each character makes adds so much tension. The ending where he must choose what to do is genuinely hard because you never know what each option will lead to. I chose the ending where you give both astral pulses to catch him off guard and everything turned out well, and I love that. Not every game needs a heavy ending or something extremely sad or grim. The game has its violence, it has its dark moments, but in the end it finishes on a good note, making the whole experience feel lighter and more enjoyable. Even more so since my Robert ended everything happily with Mandy, celebrating with the team that only exists thanks to him. Because this team, the Z team, starts the game as basically a bunch of jerk supervillains who want to change but also kind of don't. They have that desire to be different, but they don't want to put the effort required for that change. They're very contradictory, but that makes Robert's influence and their development throughout the game so much more impactfully meaningful for both sides. The team is made of everything you can imagine. A pop star, a talking bat, a demon from another dimension, a guy who manipulates fire and whose skin doesn't burn, well, a literal golem. The important thing is that it's a diverse team and each character has their own flaws and their own charismatic personality. They're all very different, but deep down they want the same thing. A new life where they're not seen as human garbage that contributes nothing to society. And it's beautiful how throughout the game we genuinely see them being willing to change and do what's best for the city and for people. You see this especially when you support them and trust their decisions. Mutual trust. It's really cool. I don't know how else to put it. They feel like real people, human beings who grow for the better, and that's amazing. And being the leader of this team makes everything even more special. A huge part of that growth comes from our own leadership, from how Robert behaves with them without letting himself feel inferior for not having powers.
Look, Robert, you should be proud. The bar is very low with this group.
Well, it's not low for me. Look, I like to make a joke and keep things light as much as the next person. But when it comes to work, I'm not fucking around here. If you want the Phoenix program to survive, the bar needs to go up.
And how would we do that?
By treating the Z team like what they are, a bunch of villains. And leading a supervillain team takes a different approach than a superhero team. I need to be around them. I need them to see I'm all in and they need to match that energy.
Some tough love.
The only kind I know. And based on what I've seen, the only version they'll respond to. I'm not saying everyone will make it. They won't. I'm not saying it won't get spicy. It will. But when it does, I also need you to trust me to handle it. I don't want you stepping in. They need to respect me, even if I don't have powers.
All the characters are super charismatic and interesting to listen to. And that's not just our team. Every character in the game is interesting. Even the enemies are fun to listen to. There are characters who connect us to Robert's past and make the story more intriguing, funnier, and even raise the stakes. There are supporting characters who steal the scene with how unique and strange they are, but strangely good, kind, and just really fun to see and talk to, leaving you wanting more scenes with them. There are characters who with interesting backstories who are more complex than you'd expect. Nothing is too straightforward in this game, just like in real life. Everyone has their own personality. It's a game that thinks very carefully about each character and gives them the proper time to shine. Even though I think some characters could have had more screen time, I was satisfied with what we got. I ended the game feeling good, having learned from each character and still wanting to know more about them. This amazing cast with their incredible development, some characters grow more noticeably, others less so, some depend heavily on tiny choices while others will change regardless because they don't have that big of a role. But 99% of the characters we meet in this game are interesting and most importantly incredibly charismatic. And as I mentioned before, in theory a game where you're just a dispatcher would probably become a bit boring over time, but Dispatch managed to turn gameplay that had every reason to become monotonous into something incredibly exciting to play. The gameplay as a whole is very simple, of course. You can count the choices as gameplay or even the quick time events, which can be turned off in the settings for a more cinematic experience, but in the grand scheme of things the core gameplay is the dispatcher system, and it's genuinely one of the most interesting parts parts of the game. Robert's job is basically listening to crimes or events happening throughout the city via the SDN system and sending the appropriate heroes to respond to whatever is going on. Sometimes you also get different kinds of events like hacking something specific, but for the most part it's about sending heroes. The heroes being the Z team, which makes everything even more interesting because as the episodes progress, they become more and more willing to help people. Through the communications we hear while dispatching them to certain events, you really notice how day by day they become more eager to be dispatched. Sometimes they even want to go and add themselves to the team heading out. The gameplay becomes especially interesting because it makes you think. Each hero is different and better at certain tasks. Some are better speakers, some are more intelligent, one is stronger, another is faster, another is more resilient, and we have to read the hints about what's happening at the location and send the right heroes if we want a high success rate. And with that, you can improve each hero in whichever state you choose. Mixing this with fun conversations you hear while dispatching them makes this gameplay surprisingly enjoyable. We don't control our character, we don't fight, we just send heroes to do that for us. And it's incredibly cool. I found myself genuinely excited at several moments in the game just because we were about to start another dispatching shift. But one of the things that stuck with me the most after finishing the game was honestly the music, and I genuinely feel bad. I feel so bad for anyone who played this game with copyrighted music turned off. Truly, I feel so bad. This game has so many incredible songs, and not just the copyrighted ones, of course. The original tracks made for the game are equally great, memorable, and perfectly fitting for each moment. More importantly, they blend so well with the art style, which was one of the main reasons, actually the main reason why I wanted to know more about this game. I saw a few scenes and I felt completely in love with the art style they chose. It even reminds me a bit of the Invincible series style, but I think this one is even more beautiful. And it's not just the art style, but also how each scene is composed. There must be a bunch of technical terms for it that I don't know. All I know is that I adore this game's cinematography, and mixed with the art direction and that gorgeous music, it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. No magical worlds, nothing medieval, just a city with stunning visuals, and that's enough. But everything gets even better when the performances match the quality of the rest of the game. And the cast in this game is insane. Aaron Paul is Robert, the same actor who played Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. Laura Bailey is Invisigal, she played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Erin Yvette, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, as Blonde Blazer, Moist Critical as Sonar, Jacksepticeye as Punch Up. The entire cast was picked so perfectly, and there are so many other great actors in this cast. It's just flawless. Honestly, it's the complete package. Story, acting, soundtrack, visuals, literally everything. This game was one of the best surprises of the gaming world this year, and for me personally, one of the best in recent years. AdHoc arrived very strong. It's their first game, and debuting with something this good is usually a very good sign. It's clearly a game made with a lot of love behind it, created with the care and attention that a story this good deserves. They didn't just create a game, they created an entirely new, interesting universe, where the characters are the best part of it all. Robert is one of my favorite protagonists of the last few years. He has that kind of character arc and development that doesn't need a ton of time to feel impactful, and every other character is incredibly easy to love. The only thing I don't like about the game is that it's short. I finished it in around 7 to 8 hours, and I really wish it had been at least twice as long. But at the same time, it's not a full price game, so I was more than satisfied with the experience as a whole. And there are some rumors going around that a possible season 2 might be entering production, nothing confirmed, and I even doubt it'll happen that soon, but it is true that the cast, especially the most vocal one about it, Aaron Paul, wants a season 2 of Dispatch, and I think most people want it too. I wouldn't mind if it were literally more of the same, a new story but with these same characters, and that it used our save, or at least the most important choices for our continuity. That would probably be more work, but it would be so much better. Going blind into this story made it even more special. It's not a monumental story or something otherworldly, but it's exceptionally crafted, and that matters more than anything else. The way the game ends with each person getting their own resolution is really special, but I love the ending I got with Robert and Mandy ending up together and that team more united than ever. This game is proof that superheroes haven't been used to exhaustion yet. People still love them, and I think that's obvious. Dispatch was a very welcome surprise, and now I just want more of these incredible characters. So tell me your thoughts in the comments, tell me your choices, why you made them, I don't know, just what you thought of the game. game, because I genuinely want to know, and I want to hear about your experience with this beautiful game. If you think it's everything I said it is, or if you think it's not that great. And if you haven't played it yet, please do. I'm replaying it now and I'm enjoying it just as much as the first time. So share your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, subscribe if you liked it, you know the drill, and as always, thank you so much for watching.